Oh, this way. Hi, good morning. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. No trials yesterday. Nope. The Aaron Dean, Fort Worth Police Department officer, former, that trial has been recessed until Monday. But I've got some stuff I want to talk to you about. Casey Anthony, the new documentary. Let's talk about it. Crafting Journey here, that journey chick over on Instagram, and on my second YouTube channel I'm known as The Leftovers. The link to that is down in the description. Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, and it's Friday. We do the Friday dance on Friday. I know, I'm goofy. If you don't like goofy, wrong channel. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I do appreciate you subscribing. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy the content. That helps as well. So, no trials yesterday. None. The Aaron Dean case where the Fort Worth police officer is alleged to have murdered the 28-year-old black woman, 24, 28, I forget how old she is. It's recessed till Monday. The prosecution rested their case unexpectedly after Wednesday's testimony, and the defense will bring their case on Monday. Interesting. The defense was surprised by this, so they didn't have their witnesses ready. So the judge just said, "Okay, everybody, you got a 4-day weekend. Go Christmas shopping, jury." Yes. So, a little bit of crafting stuff to talk about. First, I am an affiliate for diamondpaintingdrills.com. The link to that is down in the description. If you follow that link to their website and make a purchase, I do make a small commission, and I thank you. So, every month they come out with something new. They usually a special, and it's usually in the form of I usually order it in jars. You have a choice. You can order jars or you can order packages. So usually I order jars every month because I really prefer the jars. But my sister and I, next year is the year of fantasy. I always do a theme, a diamond painting theme for my subscribers. And next year is our year of fantasy. And I am doing this amazing painting called The Dragon's Door. And my sister is also doing a dragon, different artist. So we had looked at our canvases and thought, how can we improve these with special drills? So I ordered this month's special drills. Instead of getting them in jars, I got them in bags. Now, if you order the jars, it's a little cheaper because you're only getting 600 per jar. 600 drills. Now this is a prior month. I just got it out to show you. So let's see what we got this month. If you get them in the bags, there's 2,000 in a bag, approximately 2,000. It's done by weight. So look at all the drills I got. So I'm just going to show you really quick. For oh, that's different. 150 AB. Oh, beautiful. Sometimes she sends me samples. I think this one's a sample. It's 150 AB. It's like this dark pink, which that's amazing. All right, actually, let me show you the monthly deal. So instead of the jars, which you get 12 jars, I ordered 12 envelopes of diamonds, and you could order reds or you could order greens. That was the special for December. So my sister wanted reds, so wow, look at all these reds that she got. Oh my god, aren't those gorgeous? Because her dragon has a lot of red in it. So you got these red crystals, 3 350. 606 was one of the ones in her painting. 349, all just different colors of red. 347, 3801, 304, 666. This is in her painting. 321, that's in her painting. 816, 815, and 498. Oh my gosh. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So these are for my sister. They also give you a sticker every month, and it's a themed sticker. Oh gosh, I left one in. 814. Okay. So the sticker this month is this beautiful Christmas sticker. Isn't that gorgeous? Yes. All right, so what did I get? Because my the dragon door itself, I wanted to decorate. So I got rose gold, copper oxide. I ordered some golds, silver, hematite. 2 things of hematite. Yes, that's good. Hematite is my absolute favorite. It's like a charcoal color, and it's wonderful to replace your black ABs with, or your black 3/10. And then this white. So I will do pictures of all that so you can see what the heck is going on. Okay. So follow the link down in the description. Check that out. She's got some beautiful sets that she has put together for Christmas. There's a Hanukkah set, and they're all so reasonably priced. Really, honestly, it's amazing. So the other thing, I know I'm still talking crafts. The other thing yesterday, my sister ordered from Hirschner's, and I got, because I really wanted this kit. It is 2 dog hoodies. There's one called Stripes and one called Spikes and Squares. Spikes and Squares. How cute is this? So instructions are on the back. Super easy pattern. Super easy. One that I have never done before, though. I was trying to protect it from the cats last night. So I did start the Spikes one. And these are it's for a large dog. How cool is this pattern? It is so cool. And it was $14.99, I think, for the kit, and you get enough yarn to make the 2 hats. So I got a skein of this gray, a skein of the purple. I mean, I didn't order these colors. This is the color the kit came with, and this blue. And this is a 4 worsted yarn, probably 100% acrylic. I'm guessing, yeah, 100% acrylic. Yeah. Super cute. And I'm making them for the dog. Yes. Why not? But I love that pattern. I want to use that for myself in like a scarf or something. How beautiful is that? So that's something I'm working on. Okay. Enough about the crafting. I'm working on my black lab dog here. I'll just show you. I know. I just said enough of crafting. But I love crafting. Yes. So I'm working on this diamond painting. It's a black lab that has a landscape inside of it. It goes all the way down, but I'm not going to pick the whole thing up right now. But I'm on the home stretch of getting this one done. It's quite large. So I will work on that while I talk to you. Okay, so no trial yesterday, like I said. But, I just turned my light pad off. Let's turn that back on, so I can see what I'm doing while I talk to you. Yes. So last night, because there's no trials, I thought, let me watch this documentary that Casey Anthony has done. It is on Peacock. And we have a Peacock account because my sister's soap opera was taken off of the regular channel and put onto Peacock. What? Yes, I need coffee. So we have Peacock. So I turned this on, and let me just give you a little background in case I don't know where you were in 2000, the late 2000s, or early, what, 2007, 2011 is when she was acquitted of murdering her daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony. Gorgeous, gorgeous little girl. So she was reported missing. The child was reported missing by the grandmother, who calls 911. She says, like, my granddaughter is missing. And they're like, oh, well, can you, and she's like, she's been missing for 31 days. And the 911 operator, you could just tell, is like flabbergasted. Like, well, can you put the mom on the phone? So Casey gets on the phone and she says, yeah, she's been missing for 31 days. I dropped her off at the babysitter, Zenaida Rodriguez Gonzalez, something like that. The nanny. Zanny the nanny. I dropped her off at Zanny's house. She's been my babysitter for, a year and a half, 2 years. I dropped her off there, and when I got done working that day at Universal, I go back to get her. I called ahead of time. The phone was disconnected, so I go over there, and no one's answering the door. She's gone. So the police come out, and she tells this story to the police, and the police are like, what? So they investigate. This Zenaida Gonzalez Rodriguez, whatever her name is, does not exist. She never lived in this apartment building. The person that lived in that apartment building was a friend of Casey Anthony's. Her best friend lived in that apartment building. But that particular apartment that she led the police to had not been occupied for months. So, and then they took her to Universal, and they're like, show us where you worked. Because they already knew, they had already checked out with HR that she didn't work there. She had, I'll tell you, it's a long story, but anyway, she said that she worked there. And she takes the police inside, and she's waving at people, and people are like, like she knows them, and they're looking at her like kind of funny, and they're like waving back like, who are you? And she takes them all the way around this Universal building, and then finally goes down this long hallway that ends up at a dead end, and she turns around and she goes, okay, I lied. I didn't work at Universal. So she's arrested for lying to the police, and she's also arrested for child neglect. So she spends a little while in jail, and then she gets out on a $500,000 bond, but she's eventually charged with murder. And this entire time, so let me just set up the documentary. So the documentary, apparently she had no creative control over this documentary, but agreed to talk because she said, it's time for me to talk, to tell people the truth, because I didn't do this. And it's done in a episodic format. There's 3 episodes to it. I watched all 3 last night, and it's basically her 3 hours of her expressing her anger and crying. Woohoo, woohoo. Here's what she says happened. George Anthony, her father, sexually abused her from the time she was a young girl until the time she was 12 years old. Then he stopped. Then her brother started sexually abusing her. Now, both her brother and her father did not want to appear for this documentary, did not want to give statements, didn't want anything to do with it. And they said that they've never been charged or investigated. It just hasn't happened. So, fast forward through this trial, and I hope you remember this trial because it was such a sensation. Jose Baez was her defense attorney, along with an entire team. He was not death penalty approved, so he had to get an assistant counsel that was approved to try death penalty cases. So he had that guy. Then he had a woman who was hired just to investigate the scientific evidence that the prosecution was using, which basically she says was junk science. And then they had another female attorney, another female that was hired to, I forget what she was hired to do. Anyway, it's a huge defense team. This became her family. She has nothing to do with her real biological family anymore. But she was acquitted. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, I covered a trial earlier this year where Jose Baez had gone up to Ohio and come into this case pro hoc vice. Pro hoc vice means you he's not licensed to practice law in that state, but he filled out the paperwork, and you get the assistance of an attorney from Ohio, and then the judge can approve you to come in on a one-time basis and try your case. So that's what happened. I've done it. I used to go up. I was pro hoc vice in Oklahoma for many years, even though I was only licensed in Florida. So Jose is also licensed in Florida, and he is the one that got the acquittal for the doctor. I don't know if you guys recall this, the doctor that was accused of overdosing his patients. Now, these patients were all at the end of their life anyway, but he hastened their death with these astronomical doses of narcotics. Well, he got an acquittal on these, and it was like dozens of people that he did this to, but he got an acquittal for the guy. Crazy. A lot of people agreed with the acquittal because they don't understand medicine. I mean, I was a malpractice attorney. I was an RN. I understand the medicine behind what was going on, and you just don't prescribe doses like he was prescribing. You just don't do that. I mean, it was crazy amounts of drugs he was giving at the end of these people's lives. Anyway, so that Jose Baez. So he's the one that tried this case in Orlando and got the acquittal for Casey Anthony. So after the trial, she goes to live with the investigator. There was on the defense team, there's an investigator, former police officer, retired. That's his whole job. He investigates defense cases. And she had nowhere to live. Immediately after the trial, the woman that was hired, the junk science attorney, basically, she rents a place up in Pensacola, and they all go up there and they spend the weekend, so she can get away. And now they're like, oh my God, she's getting death threats. We're getting death threats. Where is she going to live? So this investigator, his family takes her in, and she lives with them, and she works for this investigator. She has now worked for this investigator for 11 years. She helps him out doing his investigations. She's his research assistant. I think she does the filing. I don't know. She's a very intelligent girl. So, fast forward, she lives with a roommate, but she doesn't want to do this documentary from where she lives because she says, my roommate values their privacy, and so do I. And it's my safe space, so I don't want to do this there. So I guess the producer rents this house out in Florida in this undisclosed location, and Casey Anthony moves in, and they do this documentary. Yes. So what actually happened? What does she say actually happened? Well, the morning she disappeared, Casey Anthony, she said it was a normal morning. She gets up, she makes Kaylee breakfast, and after breakfast, she said she wasn't feeling well and she wanted to go lay down. So she takes Kaylee into the bedroom with her, and she's laying down and she falls asleep, and Kaylee's right next to her. When she wakes up, Kaylee's gone. She goes out into the living room. Her father comes in carrying Kaylee, soaking wet, and hands the baby to Casey and says, this is all your fault. and she's like, and he's yelling at her, screaming at her, this is all your fault, blah, blah, blah. And then he takes the child from her and says, don't worry, I'm going to take care of this. She's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. And he walks away with her. She says she doesn't know what happened to her. She says absolutely she did not drown in the pool. She does not know why Kaylee was all wet. She adamantly believes that he sexually molested her daughter, and that something went wrong. She said that when he would sexually molest her as a child, he would sometimes put a pillow over her head if she was too loud. And she thinks that maybe that's what he did, that he put a pillow over Kaylee's head, and things went wrong and she died, and he goes and drops her in the pool. I don't know. Anyway, so she doesn't call 911. She says, I thought Dad was taking care of it. He said, don't worry about it. Don't talk to anybody. She's going to be okay. So this whole time that she's lying to police, she admits, I was lying. Yes, I was lying. But, she was protecting her abuser. She said, kind of like the Stockholm syndrome. Anyway, she was protecting her abuser. I don't know. And then her mother knew nothing about this. Didn't know about the sexual abuse. She never told her mother. You know who else she didn't tell? Her lawyers. She never tells her lawyers this story about her father coming in with Kaylee, handing the baby to her. And so the whole documentary was, stuff about Dad, like, when they would lose an animal growing up, he would put the animal into a garbage bag and wrap duct tape around the garbage bag and then toss it away, which they say is what happened with Kaylee. When they found Kaylee, and this is the junk science lady talking here, when they found Kaylee, they said, oh, she had duct tape over her mouth. No, she didn't. She had duct tape on either side of her face, in her hair, and what they think is that the duct tape was on the bag and not on Kaylee, because there was no DNA found on the duct tape for Kaylee or anybody else. No DNA on that duct tape. There was also interviews with some friends of hers, So what she says happened is that, and they have her cell phone records, so they pinged her cell phone location for the day that they think this happened, the day that she says he came out to her and handed her the baby. She never left the home. She doesn't leave the home all day till like 4:00 in the afternoon. And then she goes over to her new boyfriend's house, is Tony Lazzaro, where she proceeds to stay with him for like 21 days. The entire time she's partying with him, and she's thinking, my daughter's still alive. Dad's taking care of her. When the police start investigating, she goes to jail for lying. She still thinks her daughter's alive. It wasn't until they found Kaylee's body that she realized, and they show her sitting in this room. I don't know. I don't recall where she said she was. She was in this room where there was a TV monitor, and she happened to look up at the TV monitor and see, body found, and that it was her daughter. And this is how she found out about her daughter. And she just starts hysterically crying, sobbing in this chair. Do I believe her? I don't know. They say that her lies were a way for her to I can't say this word. I can't say the word. Put everything in boxes. I can't say the word. Compartmentalize her life. compartments. And they kept showing these drawings of, boxes on these shelves and her taking down the box. And so in the end, I guess we're supposed to feel sorry for her. She's like, why do people still believe that I did this? The fact is, she lied so much. Is she lying now? Is she... I mean, I don't know. So she has no relationship with her family. She's still working for this private investigator, who I might add is very, very elderly. So I don't know how much longer she could possibly work for him, and then what she'll do after that. I don't know. If you get a chance to watch it, it's very, very interesting. I mean, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Do you believe her? If you've seen it, this documentary, did you walk away going, "Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I believe that." I don't know. What they said about like the cadaver dogs. This junk science lady, she said, the cadaver dogs alerted on the trunk of her car. She says that she took the car out one day and she drove it and she ran out of gas. So she some people help her pull off to the side of the road. She calls her father. She said, "I ran out of gas. Can you come help me?" So he comes and he takes the car from her. And when he returns the car, it had this odor in it. So this cadaver dog is brought out and he alerts on the trunk. But whenever a dog alerts on something, cadaver, all these different types of dogs, they always bring in a second dog, or they do the test again, just to make sure it's valid. The second time they did this, the cadaver dog did not alert on the trunk. I thought that was interesting, So what was that smell? Then they had the scientist who said he could, take a sample of the air and, suppress it into molecules, and I don't know. It was, and then there was all this, the search for chloroform, and, Casey Anthony's didn't have any chloroform in her system, so, was there chloroform? What was the whole chloroform thing? We don't know. We don't know. And as for her defense team, when Jose Baez gets up to give his opening statement, and he did not tell her what he was going to say, he starts talking about how she was sexually abused as a child. And prior to this, she had told no one about the sexual abuse. This was something Jose came up with on his own. And so my question is, did she adopt his version of the story? Or is this something that really happened to her? He figured it out? And another interesting thing was, this whole defense team that participates in this documentary, Jose did not participate. Where was Jose Baez during this documentary? Like, is she not friends with him anymore? Is he not part of the family? Curious about that too. Anyway, it just raises more questions in this whole situation. Just way more questions than it answers, this documentary. I don't know. I just don't know if I can believe her. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about this day in history. In 1981, I think yesterday we were in 1980. Let's go to 81. Back in the day, 1981, before police body cams, Daniel Faulkner, he was a Philadelphia police officer. He was found lying in the middle of the road, murdered. And then several feet away, they find, I got to read his name, Mumia Abdul Jamal, lying there, severely injured. from a gunshot wound. So they take him to the hospital, and then they try to figure out what happened. So they get various witnesses in, and what they surmise happened was that Daniel Faulkner pulled over this Volkswagen. It was a light blue Volkswagen. It's a traffic stop. He pulls him over. William Cook is the driver of this Volkswagen. Now, I have to back up a second and tell you that, of course, Mumia Abul Jamal was not born with that name. His birth name was Wesley Cook. So, back to Faulkner. Faulkner has pulled over William Cook, Wesley's younger brother, has pulled him over for a traffic stop. He was going the wrong way on a one-way street. So they get into this altercation. And this is all through witnesses who people later on say, oh, they changed their story. Oh, they were informants for the police. You can't rely on these witnesses. I don't know. Anyway, so they get into an altercation, and William strikes the police officer. So the police officer strikes him back and then tries to take him into custody. And all of a sudden, Abul Jamal, who is driving a taxi. Let me tell you a little bit about Abul Jamal. He was a journalist. He had worked for NPR, National Public Radio. He had just been fired. He was driving a taxi a couple nights a week to supplement his income. Growing up, he had been a member of the Black Panthers for a couple of years till he, as a teenager. He dropped out of that organization, but he was very outspoken, and that's why he got fired from NPR. He was just very outspoken. So he sees his brother and this cop in an altercation. He pulls into this parking lot, goes running over to where the cop, Daniel Faulkner is, and his brother, and he pulls out a gun and shoots Daniel Faulkner 4 times in the back. Daniel Faulkner falls to the ground, grabs his own weapon, and manages to shoot Abul Jamal. And Abul Jamal stands over him, wounded, stands over Daniel Faulkner, shoots him in the face, and then attempts to flee. Doesn't make it too far before he falls. So he's, severely injured. He goes to the hospital. Apparently, tells one of the hospital workers, yeah, I shot him. I hope he dies. And he's recovering from this whole gunshot wound. Well, he gets charged with first-degree murder, and they proceed to go to trial just 6 months after the incident, where he's still recovering. He's still weak from this event, from his wounds. He's still weak. He's trying to represent himself. He's got the assistance of a court-appointed attorney. He's not happy with the jury makeup. The judge won't let him participate in choosing the jury because he's intimidating the jurors. He's too intimidating, so he couldn't participate. So anyway, he gets convicted of first-degree murder and is sentenced to the death penalty. So he files all of his appeals, and later on, the death penalty is taken off the table, and he's now serving life in prison without the possibility of parole. And he does all these. He's still a journalist. He writes for articles for different publications. He's written books. He does interviews. He's done commencement speeches, all from his jail cell. They just record them, and then so. He's living his life in prison. So interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting. Faulkner, so sorry for him. Faulkner was so young. He really was. He was an Army veteran. He had worked for this police department for 5 years. And sad case. Okay. So that is the content for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know it wasn't a trial coverage, but I really would like your opinion on this documentary. Watch it on Peacock if you have Peacock. It's strange. It's very strange. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are. So have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. I will be live on Sunday at 11 a.m. Just chit chat. Maybe I'll have my Christmas tree decorated by then. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.